What if I told you there's a wedding painting so disturbing that art historians debate whether those figures in the background are guests or the ghosts of the groom's previous wives? Where a bride stands red-eyed from crying while wax drips from her trembling candle onto her dress. Or maybe you'd prefer the painting where a newlywed bride, surrounded by more wealth than most people see in a lifetime, looks like she's attending her own funeral, where every golden detail seems to mock her misery. Today, we're diving into 3 paintings that turn what should be the happiest day of a woman's life into something that feels more like a funeral march. And trust me, once you see what I'm seeing, you'll never look at Victorian wedding photos the same way again. Let's start with The Reluctant Fiancée by Auguste Toulmouche from 1866. The French title La Fiancée Hésitante translates to The Hesitant Fiancée, and hesitant doesn't even begin to cover it. Look at this composition. Everything about this scene should whisper luxury and celebration. We've got gilded furniture, flowing satin, and delicate orange blossoms, the works. But Toulmouche, who was famous for painting what critic Émile Zola called his delicious dolls, has created something far more complex here. The bride sits center stage in white silk with fur trim, and she's staring straight at us. Not at her bridesmaids fussing over her, not at the girl trying on the bridal headdress in the mirror, at us. Her expression is this perfect storm of hostility and resignation that makes you want to ask, "Are you okay? Do you need help?" By 1866, Toulmouche had already won medals at the Paris Salon for his portraits of fashionable women, but this painting marked a departure from his usual single-figure compositions. Here, he's orchestrating a complex psychological drama. The other women surround her like she's some sort of beautiful sacrifice. One kisses her forehead, almost like a goodbye, while another holds her hand in what could be comfort or restraint. Meanwhile, that girl in the mirror trying on orange blossoms? She's literally trying on the bride's future, and nobody seems to notice the irony. The positioning tells us everything. This painting measures just 65 by 54 centimeters, intimate enough that you feel like you're intruding on a private moment. But all the figures are crammed into the bottom half of the canvas. The top half is just empty, ornate room. It's like Toulmouche is showing us how small these women really are in their gilded cage. How their entire world has been reduced to this one moment of preparation for a life they may not even want. Speaking of lives they don't want, let me introduce you to what might be the most heartbreaking wedding portrait ever painted. Vasili Pukirev's The Unequal Marriage from 1862 doesn't just hint at unhappiness, it puts it on full display in a dimly lit Russian Orthodox church. The age gap here is so stark it's almost grotesque. Our bride, possibly based on a real woman named Praskovia Matveevna Vorontsova, stands in traditional white with her head bowed and her eyes red from crying. She's holding a candle and the wax is literally dripping onto her dress. Even the candle is weeping. Next to her stands her groom, an older man whose chest is decorated with the Order of Saint Vladimir, basically showing off his military rank at his own wedding. His rigid posture, that stern expression, the way he gazes down at his prize, everything about him screams power and possession rather than love. There are 2 theories about the bride's identity, but both involve Pukirev watching the woman he loved marry for money instead of affection. The real Praskovia ended up in a Moscow poorhouse decades later, hardly the fairy tale ending her wealthy marriage was supposed to provide. But Pukirev doesn't stop there. Look at the background figures. The priest is hunched over and cast in shadow, as if even God disapproves of this union. And that man on the right showing clear displeasure? That's probably Pukirev himself, who reportedly fell in love with the real bride but had to watch her marry for money instead. Here's where it gets really eerie. Those two women in the background wearing bridal wreaths like the brides? Art historians think they might represent the groom's dead ex-wives. One stands suspiciously close to the priest, which ordinary guests wouldn't be allowed to do. The triangular composition of bride, groom, and priest creates this sense of entrapment. She's literally surrounded, and her only act of rebellion is that bowed head. The only way she can show her true feelings about becoming property. Now, if you thought those first two were depressing, wait until you see what happens after the ceremony. First, Zhuravlev's After the Marriage from 1874 shows us the aftermath, and spoiler alert, it's not happily ever after. Our newlywed stands in what should be a celebration. There's a cornucopia of abundance, rich textiles, floral arrangements that probably cost more than most people's houses. But look at her face. That's not the glow of a happy bride. That's exhaustion mixed with something darker. Contemplation? Regret? The dawning realization of what she's actually signed up for? The most chilling detail? Her new husband lurking in the shadows of the foyer. He's well dressed, probably older, and he's keeping his distance. Even on their wedding day, there's this emotional chasm between them that all the luxury in the world can't bridge. What's brilliant about Zhuravlev's technique is how he uses light as a metaphor. The bride is illuminated brilliantly while everything else fades into darker tones. It's like she's trapped in a spotlight, on display as the beautiful object she's now become. The light that should represent joy instead feels harsh and exposing, like stage lighting that reveals every flaw in the performance. This is materialism versus humanity in visual form. All that wealth, all that excess, and she's still fundamentally alone. It makes you wonder, is this the same day as her wedding? Or has months of this isolation already worn her down? The ambiguity makes it even more haunting. What do you think about these disturbing masterpieces? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this deep dive into art's darker side intrigued you, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss when we uncover more secrets lurking in history's most famous paintings.